Welcome back. In this lecture, I'll give you an introduction to Unity Catalog. So, let's start. Unity Catalog is a unified governance solution offered by Databricks. It offers you a lot of features. However, at a high level, you can implement the following capabilities. Unity Catalog allows you to implement a centralized metadata layer. So, your databases, tables, and views can be shared across multiple workspaces. It allows you to use standard SQL syntax to grant database, table, and view permissions. Once the permissions are defined, it applies across all workspaces. Unity Catalog also captures user-level audit logs. It offers more features such as data lineage, data discovery, and data sharing. However, the most critical features are centralized metadata, security, and audit logs. Now let's try to understand how it is done. Here is the high-level architecture. You have a centralized Unity Catalog, and it manages two things: user base and metastore. All your Databricks user identities and service principals live in the Unity Catalog. All your metadata also lives in the Unity Catalog metastore. So, your data objects such as databases, tables, and views are defined in the Unity Catalog metastore. Your users also live in the catalog. Once these two things are centralized, you only grant permissions to users for your data objects. So, you will define who can do what, and that information is also stored in the Unity Catalog. That is all. Now you can connect your workspaces with the Unity Catalog. Once connected, all the queries in the workspace will automatically go to Unity Catalog for authorization. So, a user can select or update a table if and only if they have permission. The point is straight. Unity Catalog knows your users, tables, and permissions. You can connect all your workspaces with the centralized Unity Catalog. Once connected, the Spark SQL engine for the workspace will automatically start using the Unity Catalog for authorization and query parsing. And the rest all works like magic. Great. I hope you now understand how Unity Catalog works. But is it mandatory to have a Unity Catalog? Can we implement security without the Unity Catalog? Databricks Workspace can be used with or without the Unity Catalog. Without Unity Catalog, your metastore, user management, and access control are defined at the workspace level. Data objects such as databases and tables created in the workspace are not visible in the other workspaces. Access control and security are also limited to one workspace. However, Unity Catalog makes it centralized. All your users, data objects such as databases, tables, and access permissions live at a central place inside the Unity Catalog. Your data objects become visible across workspaces and permissions are also applied. Great. So far, so good. But how do we get Unity Catalog? To get the Unity Catalog, you must have the following things. Unity Catalog comes with Databricks Premium. It doesn't come with the standard subscription. So you require a Databricks Premium subscription for your workspace. Once you have a premium workspace, you must create and configure a Unity Catalog metastore. Metastore is the place where Unity Catalog stores all the information. So you must configure and create at least one metastore. Once you have a metastore, you can connect multiple workspaces with the common metastore. And that is all. All connected workspaces will have access to the central Unity Catalog metastore. You will learn all these steps in the coming lectures. But before that, let's look at the Unity Catalog object model. Unity Catalog defines your data objects in a hierarchical model. Here it is. You have a meta store at the top. It is a top level container where all your metadata and managed data objects such as databases, tables, and permissions are stored. Meta store is a root storage location of the Unity catalog where everything is stored. In a typical case, you will create only one meta store. However, you can have two or more meta stores. But sharing data and permissions across meta store requires using the delta share feature. So it is recommended to have only one meta store for your department. The next layer is your catalog. The catalog is, in fact, the first layer of the object hierarchy. In a typical case, you may have multiple catalogs in your meta store based on your business units, teams, and development environment. Here is an example. So, you can have dev, staging, and prod catalogs. You can have multiple catalogs for business units or teams. The idea is to have one organizational meta store, and separation is done using the catalog. Hope that makes sense. You can create one or more schema inside the catalog. A Unity catalog schema is the same as a database. The term database is a synonym for Unity catalog schema. So you call it schema or a database, they are the same. Then you can create managed tables, external tables, and views inside the schema. And that's all about the Unity catalog data model. Let me quickly summarize. Unity Catalog is a Databricks premium service. It offers you centralized data governance. Configuring the Unity Catalog requires creating a root directory and a meta store. You must also bring your users and other identities to the Unity Catalog. Once you have your Unity Catalog set up, you can create different catalogs, databases, tables, and views. You can configure a Unity Catalog meta store and attach one or more workspaces to the single meta store. However, all workspaces should be premium. Once Unity Catalog is attached to your workspace, you can use SQL grant commands to define fine-grained access control for your data objects. That's all. And we will start doing all this in the following lectures. See you again. Keep learning and keep growing.